Anthony, could you please take roll?
Mrs. Feiss? Mr. Grisbeck?
Here.
Mrs. Janasek?
Here.
Mrs. Hoppy?
Here.
Mr. McGregor?
Here.
Mr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. Scalzo?
Here.
Mrs. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Christensen?
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to, for the intent to adopt the agenda for business items.
Second.
It's moved by Mrs. Turner, seconded by Mr. Scalzo.
It's not opening. Okay, there we go. Voting is open. All right, voting passed, 8-0.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Hoppy, seconded by Mr. Scalzo.
Voting is open. Motion passes.
Thank you. I'd like to announce an executive session we had earlier this evening, March 28th, personnel, other legal matters, and receive information. For reports, student government. Is there a student government report?
Yeah. So SGA is currently running elections for the upcoming officers, e-board, and Senate members for the 2023-2024 school year. We are also preparing for Staff Appreciation Week, which will run through May 1st to 5th. And this entails a teacher's snack cart, a grab-and-go breakfast, a lunch lady luncheon, donuts and cards for bus garage workers, gifts for teacher mailboxes, and the annual teacher luncheon. And the theme of the luncheon is Hollywood this year. And then the Community Service Committee is planning a reading for William Penn Elementary students on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a PTO/PTA report?
Ben Franklin Elementary held their annual readathon and ended up with 141 students participating, 282 bingos won, almost 75,000 minutes read, and over $5,000 raised and tons of prizes won, including a Chromebook. George Washington Elementary had the Art and Science Fair and Ice Cream Social on March 10th. Entries from the fair were judged by Bethel Park High School Honor Society members. All students were awarded certificates and gift card prizes were given to the highest scored entries in all grades and best overall in science and art. George Washington hosted their annual Neon Party on March 17th. Professional entertainment company Emerald Owl Productions comes all the way up from North Carolina to put on a spectacular party that everyone looks forward to every year. William Penn Elementary in the month of March was full of reading for their students. They had a very successful and fun readathon. They also had their spring book fair and are proud of their kids and how many hours they read. Neil Armstrong Middle School, the month of March finished off the readathon for the students along with a successful book fair. Students were encouraged to continue to submit drawings of what they love to decorate the school, and they are off to a great start with some fabulous drawings. A new fundraiser was initiated this month. It was Rent the Rock. A rock can be rented for $25 a week and decorated for best wishes, happy birthday, or fabulous artwork by families and staff. There's more information on that on the NAMS website. And Independence Middle School is excited to begin planning end-of-the-year activities for the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a solicitor's report?
There is not.
None? Okay. How about any community reports? Any of the other committee reports from board members? Okay.
I have one, as you all have on your desk, your ballots from the AIU. So just wanted to remind everybody to follow the instructions. And I went on Thursday down to the AIU. They had a legislative session, and before that, all of the candidates spoke. And you should have received an email with all of their speeches. And they did say to communicate to everyone that you must vote for, you must use all 4 of your votes, or your ballot will be discarded. So just reminding everybody about that. And there are some PSBA events coming up with that Advocacy Day on, I think, April 18th. So check your emails if you're interested in those things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, superintendent's report. Dr. Walsh.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Start tonight with sharing some highlights of our retirees who are on tonight's agenda for approval. We'll start with Marianne Irwin. Marianne began her career in August of 1995 as a halftime music teacher at Abraham Lincoln and Neil Armstrong and George Washington. In May of '99, her assignment changed to halftime music teacher at Lincoln and just Neil, but then in 2000, she became a full-time music teacher at Neil Armstrong, and that's from where she'll retire at the end of this school year. Also retiring will be Charles Youngs. At the start of the 96-97 school year, Charles became an English teacher at the Bethel Park High School. He served as a consultant to the Carnegie Museum of Art and the development of creative learning experiences with English and art integration. In 2009, he was nominated for the National State Teacher of the Year in Pennsylvania, and he's held his appointment as the high school English department chair / facilitator for numerous of years, and he's also been the Quill and Scroll, which is the Writing Honor Society sponsor. Christine Shipani, in 1999, she was hired as a Spanish teacher at Independence Middle School. She's been a homebound ESL tutor for a few years and the world language facilitator for many years, and she's still holding those 2 positions. Over the years, she's participated in the Madeline Hunter Effective Instruction Workshop. Well, that just dated her right there, saying Madeline Hunter. And has been nominated for a prestigious Tommy Maddox Foundation Comeback Kids Award in the category of Teacher of the Year. And she's still teaching at IMS Spanish since she started. Chris Stratz. Ms. Stratz began her career as a gifted support teacher at Independence, and she also participated in an after-school elementary tutoring program. At the start of the 2005-2006 school year, her assignment changed to grade 4 at Lincoln, and she currently teaches in that position, from which she'll retire at the end of the year. Ray Campbell was hired in 1999 as a substitute custodian, and then shortly thereafter a 10-month custodian at the high school. He moved from the high school to IMS in July of 2000, and in December of 2001 he went to NAMS, and he will retire from that custodial position, did retire from that custodial position at the beginning of this month. Helen March. Helen started with the district as a substitute secretary in April of 2002. In August of 2002, she became a 12-month secretary position in the Special Services Department, and she's still in that position as the Secretary of the Special Student Support Services Department, Special Education. Finally, Dr. Jen Santee. In October, God bless you, of 2006, Dr. Jen Santee was hired as the principal at the Bethel Park High School. He was quickly acclimated and became instrumental in securing the first Classrooms for the Future grant. He also served as an administrator for our alternative education program back in those days. He has supported many students and staff members over his career through that alternative ed program. Dr. Jen Santee was involved in many student activities such as the PACS and the SGA, and given many hours of support in those clubs, activities, and sports. He was a major contributor in the building and construction of the new high school, which opened in 2012. In 2020, he was appointed Assistant Superintendent for Administration and took over responsibility for Title IX, for safety and security, safe to say, and the pandemic coordinator for the Bethel Park School District. He has recently completed overseeing the bus garage renovation project, and he's knee-deep in the IMS renovation project. And Dr. Ginsani will retire in the end of the school year. So we wish all of those distinguished educators much happiness in their retirement and thank them for all their service. Some real legend names in that list there for sure. I also wanted to share some great news with the board and the community that we learned just recently that one of our principals, Mr. Joe Villani, was awarded a 2023 Pittsburgh Penguin MVP, which stands for Most Valuable Principal Award. And the award says, this award is a testament to his innovative approach in building capacity to teaching and learning, a continuous drive for excellence, and a passion for creating a successful system for all learners to thrive and grow. There were over 100 nominations, and he is one of 15 administrators selected by the Penguins, the Grable Foundation, and the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. He and his family will be feted by the Penguins at a game, and he'll receive a customized Pens jersey. He also got $1,000 for his school. And this is also a point of the agenda where I give the board and the community an update on our strategic plan, one of the 6 buckets. This month would be budget and finance. And there's nothing to report because there's 2 goals in the budget and finance part of the strategic plan. One is to prepare and promote a 5-year financial plan for the district, and that's still in the works. And the second is to make a dashboard of interactive information, financial information for the community. We have the foundations of that, but until we switch website providers this summer, we're going to wait to roll that out at that point in time. So nothing really good to report on the strategic plan. I think we'll hear a lot more later in the spring about budget and finance as we get ready to bring forward a 23-24 budget proposal. I'm going to also pinch hit for Mr. Cromie tonight. He is down at the high school celebrating the Honor Society induction. And so he has graciously allowed me to drive the ship tonight and tell you about the 5 big things. And the truth is he says every month, but quite honestly, we could have 10 or 15 big things to share with the board. So it's always an interesting challenge to see what he ends up picking to share with everybody. But we'll start with the first item on the list is a great report on our FCCLA group. This is a middle and high school organization. It's sort of co-curricular. It coincides with the Family Consumer Science program of study, and the students then are able to complete projects and compete at the state level. We had 2 big winning groups this year. 7th grade group won the Gold Award, and a sophomore group won the Silver Award. And so we're really proud, of course, of the team and their accomplishments, but in particular these 2 teams as pictured here on the screen who took home some medal from their trip to the state competition. The second piece, familiar face to all of us, but really a magnificent accomplishment and a very first for Bethel Park to have a national champion from among our alumni. Nino Bonacorsi won the NCAA championship in wrestling for his weight class, 197 pounds. He completed, therefore, a perfect season, 21-0 record. It was a first for Pitt and a first for Bethel Park at the same time. Of course, it also says, too, that he's not a stranger to success. He was a championship wrestler for the school district and for Pitt, winning ACC's championships at Pitt over the last few years. And he's also a finalist for the wrestling version of the Heisman Trophy which is the Dan Hodge Trophy Award. So we hope that he comes out as a winner there too, but we're proud of Nino's accomplishments. Third item on the Big Five list was a successful recycling event at Washington last weekend. This was hosted by the Washington Elementary Green Team with support from Vericheck Technical Services that took care of all the electronics recycling, Michael Brothers Hauling that took care of all of the recyclables, metals and glasses and so forth. And then there was also Scrap University Kids program that helped organize it with our students, and I'm told they took tons of good things and useless things off the family's hands in Bethel Park. Item 4 on the list, not a big thing, but a sad moment, a moment of honor and recognition. Back at the end of January, we learned the passing of a former school board member, a long-standing school board member, Richard Dick Rose, who served Bethel Park for 32 years as a school board officer, was also on the state board, PSBA, and the Allegheny Intermediate Units Board of Directors, and he also served the Pathfinder School, which is in our district, but also part of the AIU program of services. So we acknowledge his passing with sadness and note that his fingerprints, I guess, literally are all over the school district. You can't pass a renovation sign in the lobby of any of the buildings without seeing his name figured prominently on it from having been a part of the school district as a school director. So we honor his memory and send our sympathies to the family of Dick Rose. Last piece is a young lady who won a competition with the Washington Wild Things to design their new jersey. The players will be wearing her design this season, and as a result of her success, she also will get to take home a honorary copy of that jersey and be honored at the August 5th game this summer. And all fans get a replica of that jersey to take home, so we're proud of her competition. And so in closing, I think we could go all night with these kinds of things, but it's always fun to point out the great things that our students are doing outside and beyond the classroom, even beyond their graduation time. So I'm going to pass it over to our curriculum supervisors who want to talk about their bright spots from the month of March.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This month I wanted to focus on some of the highlights of the STEAM activities that are occurring in the classrooms. A few months ago we did the elementary school. This month I wanted to focus on grades 6 through 12. We were very excited that we were selected to receive a school champion grant. This is funded through United Way of Southwestern Pennsylvania and the Arconic Foundation. So we earned $5,000 and we were able to purchase vinyl cutters and vinyl and also cutting and weeding tools so that we can put a vinyl cutter at NAMS and also IMS. And this will give students the experience to learn how to use graphic design software and then also use those digital fabrication tools such as a vinyl cutter. A big shout out to our science club at IMS. They competed in the Southwest Regional Science Bowl, and we sent 2 teams in that photograph. And one of our teams made it to the Final Four, which the sponsor, Ms. Evans, said was the best we've ever done. So they were very, very proud of that team. Something really spectacular that I got to observe last week, and I will not pronounce his last name because I always mess it up. Mr. K is in the tech ed department at the high school and teaches computer integrated manufacturing. And the kids did a project where they had to plan for the future of electronic vehicles. And so this was a really comprehensive project. The kids were divided into 3 different teams. I myself learned a lot about electric vehicles and the different levels of charging, different ways you can charge, places you can charge. There was a lot of research that went into the project for the kids to come to that understanding of what all went into charging an electric vehicle and what all could be in the future. Schultz Ford was wonderful. They had sent an employee during the school year to mentor the students on this project, and he also showed up for the presentation of the project. And you can see that the students are showing there, they had printed 3D prototypes of what their charging stations would look like. And he was pretty impressed with their work. They also had to design an app. I was so impressed with the level of sophistication that the students were thinking. They were partnering with places like Dunkin' Donuts for reward programs, offering all different ways that you can find where you can charge. They were considering places for solar charging. The app, 2 different teams had developed different apps, and it was quite impressive. Also presented a marketing plan of how they were going to market the new vehicles. Another really, really cool layer of this was seeing them using a product called SketchUp, a software, and they actually redesigned and reconfigured what the dealership would look like if it was servicing all electric vehicles. And so really, really cool to see the kids culminate all of the different tools they have learned in tech ed, all the different fabrication tools, the 3D modeling tools, and the kids just hit it out of the park. They were really great. So compliments to Mr. K as well. It was a really well-designed project.
This evening, I'm going to share a couple of the upcoming events that are pertinent to the district community. The first event I would like to touch upon is our assessment training series. And so this evening was the first night in our series. Mrs. Figlioli and myself had a session regarding the grade 3 through 8 PSSA testing, what the PSSA assessments are and why they're important to the district. It has already been linked, the tape, we did tape it, and the copy of the slideshow, it's on the curriculum and instruction webpage. So if you happen to miss it, you can go and listen to the very under 10-minute recording and have a copy of all the slides, which have links to the PDE site and some information about the test. And it also has some things for you to, talking points with your student, relaxation, how to prepare them for the test if that is of interest to you. We will have an evening for the Keystone training and the graduation pathways. That will happen on April 25th, 2023. I will also be linked to the web page after the session. We will tape it and we will have a copy of the slides, and we will talk about the Keystone's role in the Act 158 regulations as a means of graduation for the current class of 2023 seniors. So this would apply more to the parents that have students in grades 7 and 8 that are taking the algebra Keystone, and then any high school students that would take any of the other Keystones. Kindergarten Screening Day. This is a very exciting day for our incoming Bethel Park students. On May 16th, which is Election Day, the screening day for our incoming kindergartners will take place at Neil Armstrong. There will be morning, afternoon, and evening appointments, and the information for this can be found on our webpage. And a shout out to all of our building secretaries and Mr. Jim Wexel, who have been handling any of the technology snafus. So if there are any issues, please contact them, reach out to myself. And if you need help with the application, you can reach out to me, or Dr. Minch is also helping if there is a language barrier. So please feel free to reach out and we will provide you with the support that you need. And last but not least, we are working on our summer school session. This year's summer school session will run June 12th through the 29th, Monday through Thursday, for students currently in kindergarten through 8th grade. Invitations will be sent out to the families over the course of the next couple of weeks, and these sessions focus on math and ELA concepts, and we utilize the MAP data in order to send invitations to students. So the invitations will come via your parent email, so please be on the lookout for those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And one last piece on my agenda is to ask Dr. Shu to review the special ed plan. The board has the obligation from the Department of Education to submit different pieces of a school improvement or school development or professional development. There's all sorts of different plans with different cycles of renewal, and just so happens that we're on the 2023 cycle for submission of our special education plan. These are 3-year plans, and Dr. Shu has a little presentation about what's in the plan. which will be on the agenda, not on the agenda, it's just going to be publicly displayed after tonight for 30 days. It'll be on the April agenda. Thank you. So, Dr. Shu?
Thank you very much. As Dr. Walsh shared, this is a 3-year state-mandated plan that we have. Following tonight's presentation, it will be posted on the district website for 28 days, and the next voting board agenda it will be on for the vote for the board. Some key components of the strategic or the plan is that it is to be aligned to the strategic plan, which has already been board approved. So a lot of the things that are included in the special ed plan are repeated in the strategic plan, as we all have the same vision and mission. If you go to the Department of Public Ed, the point of the actual plan is to show the district's commitment to provide quality education to all students, specifically those that have been identified with this special education classification and disability. It's also, the idea is to provide an action plan for programs and supports. If any of you are familiar with what the plan has looked at in the past, our last plan was done in May of 2020. The format has changed. So I'm going to do my best to put into, it's 116 pages, I believe, when it was all said and done, into 12 slides. So I'm going to be as succinct as I can. So I did not do this plan alone. Although it is the special education plan, it took a great team of individuals to help and support the plan and give feedback and input. Late in January, we did have a steering committee that was posted to the district, as well as it included 3 central administrators, myself, Dr. Minch, and Ms. Figlioli, 3 building principals, all represented from the elementary, the middle, and the high school level. 2 special education teachers participated, 2 regular education participated, 1 school psychologist, 2 board members, which are also parents, thank you, Mr. McGregor and Sharon, and 1 parent community member. Part of the special ed plan is to look at our current caseload and facilities. So I went in and I entered every single special education teacher and supports. It ended up being, we have 7 speech language pathologists in the district, 28 learning support teachers, 3 combined life skills and autistic support teachers, that their caseload is made up of both, 3 life skills specific teachers, 5 autistic support teachers, 1 deaf and hard of hearing teacher, and 2 vision teachers. You may hear less about the deaf and hard of hearing and vision teachers as we subcontract those teachers throughout the AIU. You may also be asking, well, where's ESL? Where's gifted? Those kinds of things. That does not fall under the special education plan. There are additional student support services, but this specific plan does not look at those aspects. And we had 46 classrooms that we had to enter compliance information in. And that included, and Ryan is not here, his team was fantastic, and they actually measured and provided the dimensions for all 46 classrooms in the district. We also had to outline what supports and services we have in the district. That includes myself, 1 supervisor of special ed, director of pupil services. We have 2 school psychologists. I'll put a little asterisk by that. We do have some overflow as a contract with the AIU, but our own staff is 2. We have 93 paraprofessionals, 1 physical therapist, 1 occupational therapist, 8 social workers. That is something that we talked about in the plan, that's a grave improvement that we had from 2020. Dr. Minch has worked very hard in improving those numbers. We have 8 school counselors, 2 site-based therapists that's associated with our student assistance program, and 2 site-based school-based therapy for mental health, and 2 student assistance program liaisons. And I will say, so I was comparing these numbers to the numbers that we had in 2020, and we have increased a lot of our student support services in the last 3 years, which I'm very proud to say. So this is our snapshot, Bethel Park Special Education snapshot at a glance. This information was taken from December 1st, 2021, and this is public information. You can find this for any district in the state. online. And this is what they have us look at and compare what our numbers are versus the state's. One specific number I am very proud of is our inclusionary numbers. We have, I can't see that far, so I'm going to read it to you. We currently, in our inclusive setting, have 65.8% of our special education populated included with their typical peers more than 80% of the day. That's 4% higher than the state average. The other numbers that would be important to take note is our percentage of special education population. Our total district population last December was 3,901, and 18.7% of that were special education students. And again, that does not include gifted or 504 students. This is just IEP students. You could also take note that we have a high number of students with autism. Our population is 16.5%, which is almost 4% higher than the state average. But this is public knowledge. You can look at it any time. But a lot of the plan is what is a deep dive into these statistics that are given on this plan. Other compliance components included that we had to address and look at include improvement indicators, improvement plans, significant disproportionality, non-resident oversight, and incarcerated student oversight. I'm proud to say that we did not have any other errors in compliance components other than what we had addressed, I believe, the last board meeting was our compliance in having 95% participation rate in our standardized assessments, which we have created a great plan going forward, which includes some of the educational series that Beth and Mandy just spoke of, and that's addressed in this plan as well. Another one of the key components that they look at within the plan is how our district is addressing the least restrictive environment. And the least restrictive environment is how much are our students that are identified included with their typical peers, which is why I brought up our percentage, because that's a very important factor for the state as well as us. The components that they specifically ask for are what are our strengths, where do we need to improve, what universal practices are we doing for all students so all students have access to testing, curriculum, and we'll get into that a little bit further. Meaningful participation, and where do we as a district need to build more capacity in meeting our needs in the least restrictive environment. So some highlighted strengths are, again, I talked about our inclusion. Also, one strength that we also heavily spoke of in our steering committee was the meaningful participation in extracurricular activities. A lot of our students across the district are involved in great activities. You may see them in the school play, some of them are in the band, some of them participate in track. Another one is our new bocce team. That's a really big highlight that we went to regionals in our first year. So there's a lot of activities for students with all ability levels to participate within the district. Also, our continuum of supports. Things that we can improve on is our out-of-district placements. We have 5.6% of our district is out of place, which is 1.2% higher than the state average. And also to a broader spectrum of services and supports. Additionally, we could improve upon our MTSS supports, which is in line with our strategic plan, looking at those more Tier 1 and Tier 2 supports, both academically and behaviorally. Universal practices that we have for all include MAP assessments, universal design for learning, that we really show that in all classes, including our regular ed settings. Social work services and SEL curriculum are all available to all students. PASS Universal Screener, also co-teaching is available at all levels, K through the high school, or excuse me, elementary through the high school. And that's an option that we have that both benefits typical students as well as those with special education services. Also, school-based mental health services is a universal practice for all. The next area that the plan highlights is our positive behavioral supports, and it looks at the support for emotional needs for all students, training that's provided surrounding positive behavioral supports, school-wide positive behavioral support plans, school-based behavioral supports, and our restraint procedures. The last component of the plan that is highlighted are training. And this is new, opposed to our previous plans and how they address this. The new plans specifically ask, what training are we going to offer in the next 3 years? And they give you very specific topic areas. Those are along the sides: the autism, positive behavior supports, paraprofessional, transition, science of literacy, parent trainings, and IEP developments. Which is great because some of that stuff we are already on par in providing trainings in those areas. So by far, I listed more than 3 in the actual plan, but these are just some that I highlighted that we will be doing in the next 3 years, or we already are currently doing. And that is the content of the end. Like I said, it is 116 pages. It will be available in much greater detail. If you have any questions about the plan or don't understand components of it, please feel free to reach out to me. I will definitely explain it to you.
Dr. Shu, I do have one question.
Yeah.
It's more of a definition.
Yeah.
What is the definition of out-of-district placement?
Any student that is not going in, that the district approves the placement, that's one of our approved private schools, essentially. So that would be an example, and in the plan, it actually lists all the options.
Right. My question was Pathfinder because Bethel Park is a 1/5 owner of Pathfinder.
Correct. It's still considered an out-of-district placement.
Okay.
Yes. Pathfinder, Watson, ACLD Tillotson.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a whole interest in that. Pathfinder, I mean, we're roofing, we're HVACing, we have a huge interest in that. That's why I was
Yeah.
questioning if it was the definition.
Unfortunately, yes, that's considered out-of-district.
Thank you.
So based on this report, the only question I have is, do you see, requests coming from your department, to us? Are there going to be some operational changes that you'll be looking for over the next 3 years based on kind of the results of this report? Either, operational changes, staffing changes, things like that,
Yes. There are places that I would like to grow as we start to look into the elementary building. As far as a continuum of services, I would like to add in, and it is in the plans for the building, is to have an emotional support classroom to add to that continuum of services. We have pockets of supports there, but identified support, I would like to do that. I think that also viewing how we provide interventions at a tier 1 and tier 2 level, and we're currently looking at how we address our MTSS supports, and maybe a revamping of what we're currently doing with the IST program and going to a true MTSS model. I would also like to kind of develop more our school-wide positive behavior supports as a tier 1 supports for so many of our students. I think we've really beefed up and done a great job with our tier 3 interventions of having, school-based mental health services and social workers and therapies. But what are we really doing on the ground level for all students that maybe just need a little bit more emphasis? And I think teachers are doing a really good job, but I think having universal language throughout a building would be great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. That's all I had for my part.
Okay. Great. So next on the agenda, are there any public comments on any of the agenda items? At this point, comments on agenda items only.
Brendan McCarthy, 101 Jordan Street. I was just coming in. I tried to call in, but I was just coming in to speak in favor of the PASS survey. I think it's essential that we be taking the climate, taking the temperature of the climate in our schools. So just wanted to urge you all to do that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, let's move into the business items. Mrs. Hoppy, can you take the consent agenda items?
on the consent agenda this evening, we have 22 items. Would you like me to read those, Mr. Christensen?
You don't have to read each of them, no.
Okay.
Just move the 22 items.
Then I move to approve all 22 items on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Hoppy, seconded by Mr. Grisbeck.
Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Okay. Just because there's a public comment on that, person who made the public comment, so that was in the consent agenda and was approved. Curriculum Committee, Mr. Scalzo, can you take that?
We have 2 items. Number 1, school-sponsored overnight educational activities. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to permit qualifying high school students and their chaperones determined based on the number of qualifying students to participate in the following competition. 2023 PMEA All-State Festival at Kalahari Conference and Events Center, Poconos, PA, April 19th through April 22nd, 2023. Stephanie Glover, Todd Kuzawa, and Chad Thompson as chaperones, along with 11 qualifying students to attend the PMEA All-State Festival in Poconos, PA. And number 2, the Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to permit Aaron Booz to attend the 2023 PMEA All-State Festival at the Kalahari Conference and Events Center in Poconos, PA from April 20th, 2023 to April 21st, 2023 at the cost of $507.50. I'd like to move items 1 and 2.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Scalzo, seconded by Mr. Modrak.
Okay. Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Mr. McGregor, can you take Personnel Committee?
Yes, there are 10 items under personnel today. Number 1, acceptance of resignations. Number 2, retirement agreement and release, which Dr. Walsh did mention prior to coming here. Number 3, appointment of personnel. Number 4, approval of unpaid leave of absence. Number 5, approval of job description. Number 6, approval of extended school year program. Number 7, approval of extra duty responsibility programs for 22-23. Number 8 is approval of extra duty responsibility program for the following year, 23-24. Number 9 is a memorandum of agreement with the Bethel Park Federation secretaries. And finally, 10, the approval of summer help for the custodial maintenance department. I move 1 through 10.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. McGregor, seconded by Mr. Scalzo.
I do have a question on number 10. Are we looking to just hire people directly, or are we looking to outsource also if, like last year, we didn't get any hires directly?
We're looking to hire summer help with the students. To answer your question about the outsourcing, I think the plan is to see how many individuals we actually get, because we did this 2 summers ago, and we weren't very successful. So we're going to try and see if we're successful this year.
I remember the pay being one of the comments. I see it's 14. How much is that up from previously when we tried?
9 from the last time. So we went up significant to the point where hopefully we can attract.
That seems
Anthony, is
about
that
right.
full-time?
For the summer, yes. So for the kids, yes, it would be for the summer help. Up to 90 days. We go 90 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Mr. Grisbeck, can you take the 2 items under finance?
Yes, I can. We have 2 items tonight under the Finance Committee agenda. Item number 1, contract with SiteLogic. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve the Guaranteed Energy Services contract with a guaranteed maximum price of $23,809,658 with SiteLogic for Phase 2 of the Independence Middle School renovation project. And number 2, payment for bus garage renovation project. The Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve payment for project number 22 TAC 22144, application 4 for $114,250.60 to A. Felino Construction, Inc. for the bus garage renovation project. The funds will be paid from the Capital Reserve Fund. I move to approve both items.
Second.
Dr. Walsh, could you go ahead and, I know there's a lot included in Phase 2 of the IMS project. Could you provide just a general overview for the public?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And our SiteLogic team back there in the corner trying to hide. I see you. You didn't ask them. You asked me because he was hiding.
Well, you can pass the buck on, you know.
Well, we actually have on the microsite the whole PowerPoint from his presentation 2 weeks ago. And Phase 2 is pretty extensive because it goes upstairs and does the whole second floor, all the classrooms and spaces upstairs. It also includes the cafeteria and the kitchen, and into the art hallway. It excludes the music hallway and the gymnasium and the auditorium.
Thank you.
Did I get all that?
Yeah, it does include fire alarm everywhere.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, so the good news is that the contract was below the estimate, and so we can have some of those funds plus the interest on the bonds that are still collecting interest on put towards Phase 3 of that project.
And can you remind us when Phase 2 starts? Is it summer?
Well, get
Or-
a signature tonight, and we can start mobilizing the teams again, and maybe
Awesome.
even start moving some things beginning of May, I guess, or sooner.
Beginning of May. Awesome. Thanks.
The comment from SiteLogic was
She
that
said the
they
beginning of
would
May.
be ready to start at the beginning of May.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then the payment for the bus garage renovation project, that is the last of the payments, correct?
Yeah, this is it. Everything passed all the inspections and all the final work is done, so this will close out the project with all the contractors.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any other questions?
Voting is open. Motion passes 9-0.
I'm back. Hello. Holly Lissack, 880 Hershire Drive. Here to let you know I am a Pittsburgh public school girl. I grew up in the city of Pittsburgh and fair education, and I look up to you guys growing up. Top-notch education in Bethel Park, and you're doing a great job, but you're interfering a little bit, and we would appreciate you not do that. We are a diverse community. We're not inclusive like you think, so I would like to be part of that committee, please. This sign, once again, is not going away in Neil Armstrong, okay? You see this, everybody? I made my own sign. Here we go, Bethel Park Stronger Together, okay? This is the American flag, right? We're all Americans, right? And we all love I love the Lord. I don't know if everybody else does, but I do, and I'm a Christian conservative. Anyways, this is more appropriate, and I will take this for my yard or for a window in the school. I love it. Also, this here, you belong here. You all belong in Bethel Park with a mirror. I see it a few places. Where is it? Where is this sign? not in our schools, and this is awesome. Okay, this one and this one. Okay? Inclusive. I love it. This is great. All right? Thank you very much, and I don't want to go into the rainbows like Miss Liz said about her little 3-year-old. There are a difference in rainbows there. And
Please direct
politics
your
in
comments
schools.
to the board. Please
All right.
address your comments. to the board.
Sorry. I apologize. Anyways, thank you very much for your time, and I would appreciate it to be inclusive like you want it to be, because I want to be part of this committee, and I'm trying, and I'm compromising. So let's make this work for everybody, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Brendan McCarthy, 101 Jordan Street. We just did that, but I only had one post comment, but now I have two. When I tried to call in, you guys have stopped allowing call-ins. If we're going to be inclusive, I'm fortunate, I'm privileged. We have a 2-parent household. We have someone that can stay home and watch my kids, someone that can come in and comment and say things. Everybody that wants to come and comment here has kids. If we're not allowing people to call in, then what are we doing for single parents that are stuck at home with their kids? They want to call in, they can't. But secondly, I'd like to revisit the best screener. We have chosen to go opt-in with that. The mental health experts recommend opt-out. I don't know why we're ignoring the mental health experts. We have a mental health crisis in this country. Every time you turn on the news, they tell you our kids are being affected by this mental health crisis. We can see that our kids are being affected by this mental health crisis. The mental health experts are telling you that opt-out is the way to go, and we're ignoring that. That's all.
Thank you. Any other public comments? No? Any board comments?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan.
I would just like to echo that comment that I would, if possible, like to see the call-ins continued. I can't imagine that it's overly burdensome to the district, and I think that giving people more opportunities to participate and share their comments with us is a good thing. I know many months we don't get calls, but there are some that we do, and I don't think it hurts to keep that process available.
Any other board comments?
I'd like to congratulate those tonight that some of us were able to sneak down and get here before 6 o'clock, that were honored tonight into the Bethel Park Alumni Hall of Fame. These are 5 great Bethel Park alum that have given back to Bethel Park, and would like to congratulate them. It's a police officer, somebody who has a PhD in marine geosynthesis, physics, a dentist, somebody who has a degree in music and is with the Pittsburgh Opera, and then somebody who was an NFL official for over 20 years. Great give back to the community, and great to see Bethel Park alumni shining.
Yeah, it's good.
I also, I want to congratulate Nino Bonacorsi, friends, family, and everybody else involved in that program. Dr. Walsh mentioned he's the first person from Bethel Park to win. I poured over the record books back to 1929, and he is the only person, which that's a phenomenal accomplishment, and kudos to everybody involved, and I'm sure he's still thanking people to this day. I did make a comment over the weekend that only 1% of all high school kids actually get a scholarship or get the opportunity to wrestle in Division I in college. And of those, only 0.013% of those kids will ever win a national championship. So talking about defying the odds, plus an undefeated season is phenomenal. And my final comment would be, I like the plans that some people were talking about, the past plan survey and the best survey. And what I want to reiterate, there are a lot of different programs that we're trying to beef up and offer students like Dr. Shu was talking about. These surveys kind of play a part into that. I think when we take a look at attendance, we take a look at grades, we take a look at kids who are involved in extracurricular activities and kind of compare that. That's just another tool of finding help for these kids. Is it a perfect system? Absolutely not. But I think we're going to catch a lot more kids the way we have it right now. And that's about it. Oh, the phone-in thing too. I like the phone-in call option.
I agree with the call-ins. I wanted to congratulate everybody who was in all the presentations. Good luck for all the spring sports. All of our musicians are practicing, getting ready for their spring concerts. I did want to remind everyone, because we do have the spring break coming up over the Easter weekend, and just a reminder that the 11th is the first day back to school, but there is a 2-hour delay. And I know people will forget. So we are currently off on the 6th, the 7th, the 10th, and a 2-hour delay on the 11th. And have a good spring.
Anything else? Okay. Yeah, the call-in thing, I mean, there's no agenda behind eliminating, other than we went months without people calling in, so we just discontinued it. So if there's the demand, I think we can.
Well, the other slice of it, I mean, it costs money as it sits there and ticks away waiting for us to get to it.
Right.
We're paying a toll charge. And if it doesn't work, because we advertise that you can call in, if it doesn't work, we have to cancel the meeting.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it was just a recognition that if it wasn't getting used and it's costing us money, and we could
It could
potentially
jeopardize
jeopardize the business of the board, we decided to
Yeah.
cancel the subscription. Now, if the will of the board is otherwise, we can return and revisit that, but it was,
How
there
expensive?
were two confounding factors that led us to that
Maybe we can
decision.
look at something that's how we advertise it, where there's a footnote in the agenda that, as long as it works, we'll have call-in or something. I mean, if we declare it up front, it seems like we should still be able to do that. I mean, it seemed to work most of the time, but I guess if it doesn't work, we don't want to have to cancel the meeting. Right?
What was the cost, Dr. Walsh? Just a rough
I don't have the
ballpark.
numbers,
Okay.
Mr. Grisbeck, I'm sorry. Maybe Mr. McCausland, who's currently muted right now, he could answer that one.
It varied, depends on the length of the meeting. Typically, we'd run through like $100 every 3 months or so, about $35 a meeting or so.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCausland.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.